Yo! What's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. And boy, oh boy, does it feel good to be back here live on the channel. We have not been live the last couple of weeks. I had a Monday off. I got sick. I had a tooth infection. I was out of town. I have not been able to go live here on Giants Now for the past couple of weeks. It's one of my favorite parts of working here, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to get it done, but I am excited to get back on the saddle, in the saddle. I think it'd be in the saddle today. We got a bunch to talk about. It may be June 10th, but man, oh man, there are a lot of news and rumors surrounding the New York Giants. As we know, Darren Waller has retired from the National Football League. We're going to talk about, I think, 4 or 5 players that I think the Giants should go out and sign right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now to help this team win football games. I'm going to give you 5 Darren Waller replacements. I've got my cut candidates following OTAs, and we got a mailbag. So we got not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 segments on today's show. We're coming back with the bang as it has been quite some time. Shout out to all 120 people in the building. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon and let me know. 6.5 wins for the Giants this year. Type O for over, type U for under. I want to hear from all the real ones in the comment section. As the real ones were getting the comment section popping before today's live show even started. Shout out to Corinne Terrier Mom, CTM, coming in with a $10 super chat. CTM, love seeing you in the chat. Love you being here. Thank you for always being the team mom of Giants Now. It says, welcome back, Marsh, into the chat. LFG. Everybody give me some CTMs in the chat. She has been here for my entire ride at Giants Now by Chat Sports, and she is a living legend. Shout out to CTM. And you know what? There's no better way for anyone to follow up CTM than a 53-point goal. Mike G. Bang! My man Mike G. He's banging here on a Monday afternoon. Shout out to my guy, always being a real one. Said, Marsh. What's up, Mike G? Best initials in the game right there. Says, give me your honest floor and ceiling stats for Wan'Dale and Hyatt. Appreciate you as always, my guy. Mike G, we appreciate you, brother. You're a legend. You are a living legend, my man. I'm going to make sure that jersey gets to you as soon as possible. My guy has been an A1, day one, real one. To answer your question, let's start with Jalin Hyatt, right? Hyatt last year in 17 games played, 7 starts. He had 23 catches for 373 yards and 0 touchdowns. Let's start with that. I expect for him to have at least 4 or 5 touchdowns this upcoming year. I think with the addition of Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, who we'll talk about in a second, those guys all elevating their play or are expected to elevate their play, as well as Darius Slayton coming back. Hodgins maybe returning. Maybe it's Allen Robinson. Maybe it's someone else. I'm expecting Hyatt at a minimum to double up his stats from his rookie campaign. So can he go from 23 catches to 46 catches? Can he go from 370 yards to 700 plus yards? And can we get 4 or 5 touchdowns? If Jalin Hyatt ends the season with, let's say, 50 catches, 750 yards, 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, that would be an amazing season for Hyatt entering year 2. I know there's some people down on him after his rookie season. There's a lot of reasons as to why Hyatt did not stuff the stat sheet. 3 different quarterbacks played. 27,500 offensive line combinations. 85 sacks allowed. I'm expecting for Hyatt to be much more of an impact and really just get more stats overall. When it comes to Wan'Dale Robinson, he is one of my breakout candidates for this upcoming season. It's going to come down to health for him. Had his rookie season cut short due to that ACL right as he started to find his groove. Played in 15 games last year. Hopefully he can play in 15 again. I'm looking for close to 80, 85, 90 catches for Robinson. He's going to be operating out of the slot. He's going to be that initial target on a lot of pass plays. We know he's great on the underneath routes. We know he can push vertical after the catch and eat up yards after the catch. So last year, Robinson went 60 catches, 525 yards and a touchdown. Can we get 85 catches for 85 times 9.1. Can we get 85 catches, 765 yards, and 5 touchdowns for Robinson? I think that's more than doable. When it comes to floor and ceiling, those are honestly floor expectations for me. I'm expecting both of those guys to do better than that. Floor would be what they did last year. Ceiling needs to be almost doubled up of what they did. Wandale, Hyatt, Neighbors. That's your three-headed monster for the next 5 years. They need to produce on the outside. Mike, you're a legend. Everyone give me an MG in the chat. Man, I love this channel. Let's go. Sahagan's Detailing coming in with a $2 super chat. Says, I miss y'all. You don't got to miss us. We're right here. We're right here, man. I wish we could be doing live shows the last 2 Mondays, but I was out of town. I finally got to use my Easter holiday. Yes, I used my Easter holiday in June. So that tells you what you got to know about me taking days off. And then last week, I still dealing with it, a killer tooth issue. But I'm back. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. Sahagan's Detailing, you are a legend. Shout out to Gilly, the queen of New York Giants Twitter. I'm glad that you still remember us little guys over here, Gil, even when we haven't been going live every week. Says, still worried about the offensive line. I am worried about the offensive line. I don't want to overreact to non-padded practices too much. But when you read every write-up from Giants.com, when you talk to beat reporters that were there, that you read things that the beat reporters have written, doesn't sound good about the offensive line. Sounds like Brian Burns is able to do whatever he wants. Sounds like Kayvon Thibodeau is taking advantage of Joshua Azudu. Now, I'm going to be honest. I have no confidence in Evan Neal. He's still not participating. It's almost July. I don't feel good about where he is and his ankle. We have plenty of offensive line talk coming up in today's show. We'll get to that. Shout out to Victor Cruz. Is that the Victor Cruz as I'm hitting the semi-salsa? What's up, man? Says, Marsh, huge fan of your work. Will the Giants sign Gilmore for inside information in Dallas? When I think of signing Stephon Gilmore, the last thing I'm worried about is inside information from Dallas. I want a corner who's still looked at as a top corner on this team. And that is exactly what Stephon Gilmore is. We're going to talk about Gilmore in today's show. But for all the people that commented on yesterday's video, Marshall, we don't want Gilmore. He's washed up. He's washed up. PFF ranked him as the 25th best corner last year with more than 800 snaps. 2 corners start for every team. That means there's 64 starting corners. And he was ranked 25th. The Giants didn't have anybody inside the top 50. Stephon Gilmore would be your number 1 corner the first day that he puts ink to paper to join the New York Giants. He's a good player still. Is he still great? No. Is he the guy that we remember from the Patriots? No. But would he be the best corner on this team? Absolutely. And at the bare minimum, he's a veteran that has experience playing at a high level, knows how to do it, knows how to take care of his body, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. I'm cool with Deonte Banks learning from that type of player. Victor Cruz, salute, my man. Salute. We are going to get to a mailbag on today's show. One of my favorite videos that we always get to do. I just get to answer questions from you guys. So if you want your questions featured on the show, you know the drill. You got to use hashtag Giants in your comment. That way, producer Reed, who's doing a great job right now, producing his first ever New York Giants live show, he'll get those up on screen, but you got to include hashtag Giants. My ask to all of the real ones today is make it easy on producer Reed. Ask a lot of questions. That way he can get them up on screen. So all 212 people watching, please, please, please ask a question in the comments and use hashtag Giants. If you want to guarantee your spot on the show, super chat right away. And spell Giants correctly. It's Giants. I hope everybody knows how to spell Giants correctly, or you might be on the wrong channel. All good. Coming in with a $5 super chat. What's goody, bruh? What's up, Marsh? What's up, man? Good to see you. Looking for our G-man to go far, even playoffs, but the QB room got to get the ball out quick. I said it on the at-home video that I did yesterday with the Darren Waller news. If the New York Giants are going to outproduce, if the New York Giants in 2024 are going to exceed expectations, if the Giants are going to make the playoffs, if they're going to compete in the NFC East, if they're going to win 8, 9, 10 games, they are going to do it because they are one of the best defensive teams in the NFL. The way for the Giants to win games, the formula for Big Blue to stack W's this year is simple. Take care of the football and be a top-end defense. Let your team be led by guys like Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Bobby Okereke, Deonte Banks, Micah McFadden, Tyler Nubin, all of those players. You need your defense to carry this year. If they do that, if your defense ends up being a top 5, top 6, top 7, top 8, top 9 unit, you might be playing some meaningful games in December and into January. But yes, the quarterbacks need to get the ball out quickly, and to be honest with you, they need to be a lot better than they were last year. Mike G, the MVP of today's show, MG, back again with a $10 super chat. Thank you for always tuning in, man, and thank you for the unwavering support. We really, really appreciate it. Marsh, who leads the G-men in sacks, and how many do they have? I'm looking at Brian Burns. You just gave up a second-round pick and $150 million. I need at least 12 sacks from Brian Burns this year. At least. And between Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence, can we get 35 sacks? 35 sacks between those three players. May sound crazy, but you get 12 from each. It's 36, and maybe Thibodeau goes for 11, Burns goes for 12, and Lawrence goes for 10, and you're right there at 35 or very close. And then maybe another 5 from Azeez. I'll say from those 4 players, Azeez, Thibodeau, Burns, and Lawrence, I need 40 sacks between those 4 guys. They should all be able to get that done. Burns, give me 12. I'm going 12 sacks for Burns. Final answer. Final answer. We'll get to that mailbag coming up in about 30, 40, 45 minutes or so in today's show. I'm already slurring my words a little bit, but we got a lot to break down. A lot to talk about. The Cortez says, I think 40 is a realistic number. 4 players, 40 sacks. That should be done. That should be done. But that's where I'm at on that. 200 people watching. Major shout out to y'all. It's June 10th, and we got 200 people in the building. If you could, please, please, please hit that thumbs up icon for me. Only 55 likes. Those are rookie numbers. It makes me want to log off and not even do the show today. Can we get to 100 likes? I'm a winner. I like to win. Let's get it done. Let's get to 100 likes. If you like the video, type me in the comments section, and we'll give some shout-outs as well. My man Rob Jigga coming in with a $10 super chat. Major shout-out to Rob Jigga. Nice lightsaber, dude. I don't know if you could tell another man they've got a nice lightsaber, but it looks good in your... Or is that a sword? Is that some sort of weapon right, that you got right there? Take it easy on me. Says, any news of any of the UDFAs playing better than expected in OTAs? Maybe a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Shout out to the Giants chat, the best of all time. Cheers to you all. I don't want to really ever take too much from OTAs. It's non-padded, scripted practices for the first couple of weeks that the team's operating as a team on a football field together. But what I have heard is the 2 rookie UDFA receivers, Ayer Asante out of Wyoming and John Giles, I believe, out of West Florida, they looked good at camp. I also had heard Elijah Chapman flashed a little bit. So those 3 guys are players that I'm somewhat keeping my eye on as we continue to go through the summer. Mandatory minicamp, I think, will tell a little bit more about some of these UDFAs. But John Giles, Ayer Asante, Alex Johnson as well, the corner from UCLA. He had a couple of good days, I had heard, and Chapman. So Johnson, Chapman, Asante, and John Giles, Ayer Asante, Elijah Chapman, and what was the last name? Gosh dang it. Ayer Asante, John Giles, Elijah Chapman, and Alex Johnson. Those 4 players, those 4 UDFAs, I had heard good things about from OTAs. Not sure if they're going to make the roster. Not so sure. As Michael says, Casey Rogers, the DT from Oregon as well. I hadn't heard as much about him, but I have heard that he has a shot to make this roster where the Giants are thin at the interior defensive line position. We'll talk more about them as well. Gilly, another super chat from Gilly. Shout out to Gilly. Says, pretend, we'll go to pretentious land. We get a Dex and AT restructure. So they've already restructured Dexter Lawrence somewhat. They did about a 65-70% restructure with with Dexter Lawrence. They could restructure the rest of his contract and saving about $4.5 million in salary cap space. So you could do it again. You could restructure him if you want to. I don't think they will. If you do restructure Andrew Thomas, you save about $14 million. Add it to the $11 million from Waller, who is on your shopping list. Gilly, you know me all too well. Our first segment in today's show, Gilly, free agent targets the Giants can sign with Darren Waller's money. So give us 5 minutes to get into that. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I greatly, greatly appreciate your questions and your generous contributions as always. But Gilly, I've got 4 players. 4 players I think the Giants should go out right now and sign if they want to actually compete in 2024. All good. What's up, bro? Back again. Thank you for another super chat, Brody. Says, if the QB room does their part, along with the O-line, Malik Neighbors and Hyatt combined with Robinson, Johnson, and Slayton will destroy a lot of defenses. Let's go, Big Blue. I agree. That's a lot of ifs, though. It's a lot of ifs. You need your offense to be better everywhere. Your offensive line can't give up 85 sacks, the second most in NFL history, like they did last year. You ideally don't want to play 3 quarterbacks last year like you did, because Jones got hurt, and DeVito got hurt, and Tyrod Taylor got hurt. But yes, I do believe that this offense will be better. They were a bottom 3 unit last year. I want to be closer to 20 this year. 18 to 22 is my range for this Giants offense. But if I had to make one prediction about this team, even if it's not his rookie year, we're going to look back 5 years from now and be talking about Malik Neighbors being one of the best receivers in the NFL. I'm pretty dang confident about that. Ryan Liskowitz coming in with a super chat. Ryan, we appreciate you, brother. Says, who do we need to re-sign next year? Ryan, you're always having me do the crazy. Let me look real quick. Giants salary cap. I'm trying to think of. I know Darius Slayton will be a free agent next year, so he'll be on the books for that. You'll need to re-sign. I guess I could just look up Giants 2025 free agents. That would be. Give me 1 second as I get the answer to Ryan. All positions. Darius Slayton, Isaiah Simmons, Drew Lock, Nick McLeod, Jamie Gillen, Darnay Holmes, Jordan Phillips, Azeez Ojulari, Allen Robinson, Boogie Basham, Jalen Mills, Casey Kreider, Isaiah McKenzie, Chris Manhertz, Gunnar Olszewski, Carter Coughlin, Aaron Stinney, Matt Nelson, Miles Boykin, Matthew Adams, Aaron Robinson, David Long, Elijah Riley, Joshua Miles, Jack Stoll, Lawrence Cager, Hodgins, Jason Pinnock, and that's really all the notable guys. So a good amount of role players for this team are going to be free agents, and they're going to have to re-sign those people. But before we talk 2025 free agents, let's talk summer 2024 free agent targets. The Giants have added about $12 million with Darren Waller retiring. They could also free up another $20 if they want to get to $32 million. Not sure if they will do that. But let's talk about 4 players I want to see them sign. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we break down 4 players that I think the New York Giants should go out and sign right now if they want to seriously compete in the 2024 NFL season. With Darren Waller retiring, the Giants have added $12.6 or $11.6 million in cap space. They now have roughly $12.5 million to spend. And if Joe Schoen entering year 3 with his seat, I'd say warming up a little bit with Brian Dable right next to him. If that duo from Buffalo want to continue to be the leading operation managers, the main guys making decisions, they know they got to win football games this year. And if the Giants want to win football games, they need to add more talent. So we'll talk about 4 players they can go out and sign. We talked about them having $12.6 million in cap space. The Giants could add another $14.8 million in cap space if they were to restructure the contract of the all-pro offensive tackle, Andrew Thomas. I'm not someone that just goes all willy-nilly with these restructures because there's also always stuff on the back end that you have to deal with the restructure. That's what it does. It takes some money here and it puts some money here. So who becomes restructure candidates? Players you think are going to be a part of this organization for quite some time. It's exactly who Andrew Thomas is. There's not really a more perfect cap restructure or contract restructure candidate than Andrew Thomas. You keep him on the books and you push the money into the future. $14.8 million you can create, get you close to $30 million where you could sign multiple really good players. Not so sure I expect the Giants to do that. But I know this for a fact. If the Giants are serious, if they want to compete in the NFC, if they want to have a chance to play maybe for some meaningful games in the NFC East once we get to December and January, they need to go out and add more talent. This is a bottom 10 roster in the NFL, and I bleed Giants blue, but I'm also a realist. I can accept that. But I also know there's players out there in free agency at positions of need that still have gas in the tank that could help this team win football games. They need to go out and do it. Will they? I'm not so sure. I don't see why not. You should do everything every single year in the NFL to win at all costs. If you want the Giants to sign someone in NFL free agency with the $12.5 million they have to spend, or an additional $15 almost by restructuring Andrew Thomas, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon right now. Want the Giants to sign someone? Like the video. My first free agent target for the New York Giants, really the only player that I absolutely want them to go out and sign, is veteran cornerback Stephon Gilmore. This is a guy that is going to the Hall of Fame. This is someone that at one point was the best corner for a long stretch of time, best corner in the NFL. But he's 33 years old now, and he's not that same guy. But to all the people that tell me Stephon Gilmore is washed, I don't believe you, because I watched the tape. I talked to Tom Downey of the Dallas Cowboys report. He's hoping the Cowboys go back out and sign him. Why? Because he was pretty good for Dallas in the 2023 season. You look at some of his advanced metrics. When he was targeted, he allowed a completion percentage of just 54.9. That's a really strong number for any corner. He allowed 653 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had 13 pass breakups and 2 INTs, and allowed just a quarterback rating of 83.3. For the people in the crowd that say he's washed, he's not good anymore, blase, I would say to you, of all cornerbacks in the NFL that had at least 800 coverage snaps, he was 25th overall from Pro Football Focus. So he's a top 25 corner in the league. Giants don't have one of those players. They need to go out and get one of those guys. Look at what he's done over the last 4 years for Gilmore, spending time with the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Colts, and the Cowboys. He's been good at almost every single spot. I know there's people going to be like, well, Marshall, Stephon Gilmore wants to play for a contender. And you know what? You might be right. You might be right. But does he want to play football for $10 million next year where the Giants could offer him that? Maybe he does. Make him say no. Make him tell you there is no dollar amount that you can pay me that will come play for your organization. If he does that, sure. But you should be calling him every single day and bothering the heck out of his agent. Because the Giants cornerback depth chart and where it sits right now, I'm not all that confident in this room. Deonte Banks is entering his second season in the NFL. And he looked like a rookie. And he looked like a rookie last year. And that's good and bad. Had some really good moments. Had some really not so good moments. I don't necessarily believe in Cordell Flott as a boundary corner. Nick McLeod is the slot. A little questionable to me. Is Trey Hawkins ready to take that step? Is David Long Jr. going to be your outside boundary corner? Is rookie Andrew Phillips going to slide into that slot and be ready to rock and roll? There is one player on this list that has NFL experience and been great in the great is even a stretch. Has had great moments. That's Deonte Banks, and he's a rookie. They need him to be great. They need him to be great this year. And adding a guy like Gilmore that could help him out, show him the ropes, would make a lot of sense. Cordell Flott. He's expected to be the boundary corner on the opposite side of Deonte Banks. I don't have much confidence in him. I was begging for him to be the slot corner last year. He didn't earn the job and didn't play well enough to keep the job. You look at the 2022 snaps by alignment for Cordell Flott. Remember this. 270 slot snaps at the outside corner spot. 15 his rookie year. Then the next season, completely flips. He was an outside corner his rookie year. Then he was a slot corner his second year. Just 45 snaps on the outside in 2023, 432 snaps in the slot. So you had the guy completely change roles from rookie year to sophomore season. And really, his production wasn't good. You look at the stats from his first 2 years. Let's focus on 2022 when he was primarily an outside corner. He had a coverage grade of 70. Very good. He allowed just 178 yards and 1 touchdown, partially because he was only targeted 24 times. But of those 24 targets, he allowed 16 catches. Not ideal. No INTs. He did have 2 pass breakups his rookie season, and he had that big pass breakup on KJ Osborne in the divisional round against the Vikings that helped them win that game. Only 193 coverage snaps, which grew a lot from 2022 to 2023. But in 2023, he was a slot corner, and the results, they somewhat dipped. He had a coverage grade of just 59. He allowed 400-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, 40 catches on 62 targets, and had 1 INT and 3 pass breakups and 332 snaps. The Giants have to go out and add a proven, veteran, outside corner to this roster. If the Giants are going to win football games, if they're going to win 7, 8, 9, 10 games, they want to play meaningful football in December. They want to compete in January. They are going to have to do it because they are one of the best defensive teams in the National Football League. And if you go out and sign Stephon Gilmore and you pair him with Banks, and you got Belton, and you got Newman, and you got Pinnock, and you got Lawrence, and you got Thibodeau, and you got Burns, and you got Okereke, you got all those guys, you could potentially go from a good defense to a great defense. And I really only see that as the main formula for them to compete. Good thing is, according to Aaron Wilson, who covers the NFL, he thinks that, or he knows that the New York Giants have already been contacting corners. Said this today. Multiple NFL teams, including Texans, Raiders, Giants, Rams, Commanders, Dolphins, made prospective contract offers or serious inquiries about signing Steven Nelson, the veteran corner, this offseason, according to several general manager and league sources. However, Nelson made the choice to instead retire for family and business reasons. So what does this tell me? The New York Giants know they need to go out and add a veteran corner. They were already reportedly offering Steven Nelson a contract offer. So if it's not Gilmore, some of the other top corners that are still jobless in NFL free agency include Xavier Howard. There's some off-the-field stuff going with him. Not sure if I'm too interested in him, but he's a good football player, and those are all, I think, just alleged, but I'm not going to spend much more time on that. Adoree Jackson, I don't really see a reunion happening. Marcus Peters didn't look too good with the Las Vegas Raiders last year. I'm all in on adding Patrick Peterson if he wants to come play here. And you got guys like Trey Herndon, Akilo Weatherspoon, J.C. Jackson, Duke Shelley, Shannon Sullivan, and former New York Giant, Fabian Morrow. So, not that much talent left in free agency. But, man, if you could add Gilmore or Howard, if everything's okay, maybe look at Patrick Peterson, I think that could make some sense for this football club. I know this, though. If the Giants sign Stephon Gilmore, we are going live on the channel. If the Giants sign Gilmore, we're going live. So subscribe and turn your notifications on so you never miss a thing. The next player we're going to talk about on today's show is another defensive back. And this is someone I haven't spent too much time talking about. We're going to talk about Justin Simmons on today's show. And the reason we haven't brought him up too much is because I think the Giants are somewhat content with the safeties that they have in Belton and Pinnock as well as Newman. But man, Simmons is a good football player. And at one point, he was a top 5 safety in this league, and he's still probably a top 10 safety in this league. He's a guy that's going to play a lot of football for you. 15 games this year, 12 the year before, 17 the year before that, and 16 between that. He can do everything on a football field that you want a top flight safety to do. You want him to be a single high guy, he could do that. You want him to be a cover 2 safety, he could do that. You want him to roll into the box and provide run support, he could do that. You want him to slide in the slot and be a big nickel and match up on some tight ends, he can do that as well. And even though I don't think that safety is one of the bigger needs for the New York Giants, Justin Simmons, if they signed him, would be their best safety. If the Giants signed Justin Simmons, he would be their best safety on this roster. And at the end of the day, it's about talent. The teams with the most talent, they usually win the most games. And you can never have too much talent in the secondary. And let's just not go out there and act like the Giants safeties are some proven commodities in the National Football League. Dane Belton, although I love what he does, I love how he's always around the football. I love how he's someone that turnovers find him. Are we sure that he's going to be a stud for 17 games? I sure hope so. But we can't say that Dane Belton's better than Justin Simmons. I love Jason Pennock. Shout out to Jay Penny. Can't say he's better than Justin Simmons. Tyler Nubin's an unproven rookie. So yeah, I would be interested in signing Simmons if the dollar matched up with the value that I have assessed for him. And you can never have too many dudes. You can never have too many guys on the back end, especially in this new defense, coached by Shane Bowen, who comes over from the Tennessee Titans. We know by now, if you watch the show, that Shane Bowen likes to operate with multiple defensive backs on the field. He loves those multiple safety looks. He is a guy that ran the dime personnel package, which is 6 DBs on the field at the second highest clip in the National Football League. And I'd love to see a safety package of Simmons with Pennock and Belton and maybe Nubin in there. Maybe we go crazy and we throw 4 safeties out there. I'd be all in on signing Simmons if the price was right. From defensive back to the trenches on the offensive line. I'm going to talk about Connor Williams as a free agent target for the New York Giants. The only thing with Williams is I don't think that he's ready to play football right now. He's still rehabbing from that torn ACL, so he's not 100% yet, and that does worry me. That does worry me. I don't know when he's going to be ready to play. But if it's a little bit closer, to the football season, I think that makes sense. Because that at least gives you the opportunity to roll through the summer with your Jermaine Illuminor as your left guard before you bounce him out to right tackle to take the spot of Evan Neal. You look at the career numbers for Connor Williams when it comes to PFF. Last year he was one of the best in the business for the Miami Dolphins. He had an 86.5 offensive grade, 90.5 run blocking, and a 71.7 pass blocking. When the dots are green, that's good. And he's been good for really the last 4 years of his career. One of my favorite parts about Connor Williams' game is he started off as a center with with a guard with the Dallas Cowboys, and then when he signed with the Miami Dolphins, he became a center. So he's got that versatility and really the skill set, to play both positions. And with this Giants offensive line, I think that could go a long way. Ideally, this is your starting 5 from week 1 to week 17, right? Hopefully it is Andrew Thomas and Jermaine Illuminor and John Michael Schmitz and John Runyon and Evan Neal at right tackle. I just don't have any confidence in Evan Neal. I don't think he'll be your starter week 17. If he is, that's awesome. That means that he had a really good season. But I do think that we need to prep for the fact that Evan Neal is probably going to be replaced by Jermaine Illuminor, who will slide to right tackle, and then you have a spot at left guard. I like Stenny, and I like Schlottman, but Williams is a much more proven player with just a higher ceiling. So definitely someone that I'm going to be looking at the remainder of the summer. That could be a guy that you maybe sign a month before the season starts as he continues to rehab from that torn ACL. The offensive line and their performance is going to swing on the shoulders of Evan Neal. So my question to you is this. What's your confidence level in Evan Neal as he enters year 3 in the NFL? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being you're not confident at all. 10, this guy's going to get it done, and he's going to be that top 7 pick that we all thought he was coming out of Bama. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. From the trenches on offense to the trenches on defense. The last player we're going to talk as a free agent target for the New York Giants is Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell has always been one of my favorite players in the NFL. He is just a behemoth of a human being at 6'8", 370 pounds, and at the age of a young 37, the dude is still trucking. He was still one of the best interior defensive linemen in college, in the NFL last year. At season, whatever it was, at age 37, 56 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. But the most important stat, in my opinion, for Campbell at 37 is he played all 17 games last year for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not worried about durability with him. I'm not worried about age with him. And I don't need someone to come in here and be an ace for this defensive line. I need an innings eater. I need a guy that could just give us a little bit more juice. And that's exactly what Campbell can do. 6.5 sacks last year, 5.5 the year before that. And then in 15 games, he had 49 tackles for the Ravens in 2021. And the year before that, he had 4 sacks. So the guy still has something to give to this game. And it's a position that I think the Giants could benefit from adding another talented individual to. We know that Burns is going to be awesome. We know that Dexter Lawrence is going to be sexy Dexy. We all know year 3 of Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be better than what we've seen so far. But, man, is Raheem Nunez-Roches ready to be a down-in, down-out starting defensive tackle? Is Jordan Riley ready for that? Is DJ Davidson ready for that? I don't know. I just simply do not know. Is Jordan Phillips ready for that? The guy that you brought in from the Buffalo Bills? Is he ready for that? I'm not so sure either, which makes Calais Campbell a strong option for me if I was Joe Shane as to who I would sign in NFL free agency. We've gone through 4 players on today's show. Stephon Gilmore, Justin Simmons, Connor Williams, and Calais Campbell. If you had to pick one of these players to sign, who would it be? Is it the veteran corner? Is it a strong, talented safety? Is it an offensive lineman that gives you depth and more talent overall? Or is it the interior defensive lineman that would help you improve upon the position that's already the most talented on this team? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And just give me Stephon Gilmore, man. Stephon Gilmore. I want to start a video in the next month like this. Stephon Gilmore, you are a New York Giant. I want to say it so bad. Will it happen? I don't know. I know this. Brian Dable, seat's heating up a little bit. Joe Shane, your seat's heating up a little bit. And you know how you win games in this league? You had really good players. And Stephon Gilmore, he's still one of them ones. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I am also on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. So if you want more Giants content, hit me up over there. Cool. Gilly, I am still worried about the offensive line, absolutely. Nothing matters if our offensive line gives up 85 sacks again, Gilly. You are 100% right. John Thotty, what's up, man? Good to see you in the chat, bro. Says, why is Gilmore still available, though? People are not signed for a reason at this point, right? 100% right. If you're a free agent into June, there's a reason for that. I think a couple of reasons for Gilmore could be the right opportunity has not presented itself. The money he thinks he's worth has not been offered. And 2, the NFL has a way of doing this, where just teams will stop negotiating with players. And I think you kind of see from the draft, really about 3 weeks before the draft until June 1st, the NFL as a collective whole will kind of wait on a player so all those teams can kind of cheat and get that post-June 1st money. But it's now post-June 1st, and he hasn't been signed. So the fit, maybe the contender, or the money is not right for Gilmore. There's a lot of people that will say he's not good anymore. It's just a lie. He'd be the number 1 corner on this team by far. PFF ranked him as the 25th best corner in the NFL last year that played 800 snaps. I'd love to add the 25th best corner to this team. I would, but I'm not the GM. I'm just a guy up here that makes YouTube videos. Make sure you are going to be entered into our mailbag. If you haven't got a question in, change it. Use hashtag Giants or Super Chat to get on the show. Nope says if he's the number 1 corner, we're screwed. Well, we're screwed right now with our entire cornerback depth chart. Nope, who do you think is better? Do you think he's the best corner we would have? Who's better than him on our team? Who on the New York Giants is better than Stephon Gilmore right now? Who? Because Stephon Gilmore was the number 1 corner for a Dallas Cowboys team that was one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. Did we forget Trayvon Diggs didn't play? Like, are we going to say Deonte Banks is better than Gilmore? We're going to say Cordell Flott's better than Gilmore? Nick McLeod? Trey Hawkins? David Long Jr.? Andrew Phillips? Thomas Oliver? Aaron Robinson? Darnay Holmes? Come on. He'd be the best corner on this team. He would be the best corner on this team. And that's the business I want to operate in. Adding good football players. Banks is not better than Stephon Gilmore right now. Come on, dog. Nope, I just think you're wrongfully informed, brother. I think you're wrongfully informed. I just told you, PFF ranked him as the 25th best corner in the NFL last year. Yeah. And then you're going to tell me that He was washed down the end of the season, but in Week 18, he had an 81 overall grade from Pro Football Focus. So I just don't know where you're coming up with this info. Maybe because he got beat for one touchdown in the playoffs. Is that what you're talking about? Because he got beat for one touchdown in the playoffs versus Green Bay because he struggled versus Green Bay? Hey, if we make it to the playoffs next year and Stephon Gilmore struggles in the playoffs, you know what I'm going to say? Hell, it's a hell of a signing. We're in the playoffs, baby. We're supposed to win 6 games. I know you're not a Gilmore fan, but you're not using any rationale or any factual evidence. You're just like kind of, I feel like, going off a Madden rating for some reason. But nope's always been a wild card. Gilly, $5 super chat. What's up, man? It says, Gunner injury is terrible news. Remember the last time we had no dedicated returner? I do. Absolutely do. He's going to be ready to go for the season. Dable said he was not expecting him to be ready to go for OTA minicamp, mandatory minicamp, which is starting tomorrow. And he's expecting him to be ready to go for training camp. Yeah, that's why everyone always laughs at me when I pencil in Gunnar Olszewski to make this roster. Do you remember what happened last time? I do. Richie James fumbled 2 punts in one game against the Seahawks, and we lost. I also remember Eric Gray fumbling a punt. I also remember Dory Jackson getting hurt catching a punt, and I also remember Sterling Shepard fumbling a punt. So yeah, you need to keep Gunnar Olszewski, or at least some sort of punt return specialist. We're going to get to that mailbag coming up in a second, but I want to take a look at OTAs as it is over now. OTAs. Giants also got Isaiah McKenzie. They did. Maybe he's the guy that they look for to return punts. We also did see that Wan'Dale Robinson has been returning kicks at practice for the New York Giants. We did get a $5 super chat from Baldasac. Thank you, brother. Double Baldasac. $5 super chat. Thanks for the love. Says, why isn't Neal an option at guard and move Illuminor to tackle? Yeah, Cortez kind of says it in the chat. I had only heard that from one person. I usually like to double and triple check my sources. But supposedly Neal wasn't too receptive to switching to guard, and the Giants aren't ready to punt on him as that right tackle. So a little bit of both. Giants aren't ready to punt on him being a tackle, and Neal isn't ready to give up on being a tackle either. So kind of where we're at on that. But that's another point. Grow Press Bake says, why would Gilmore go through camp if he doesn't have to? Another reason he could be available. But yeah, Giants aren't ready to give up on him at tackle, and it sounds like Neal isn't all that ready to give up on it himself. So that's all I can say on that topic right there. Thank you for the super chat, my man. We appreciate you. Coming up, I got 5 cut candidates for the New York Giants with OTAs over. Let's dive into it. OTAs are in the books for the New York Giants, so I've gone through and I have read through every practice report. I've watched every single highlight. I've talked to multiple people that were there when the media was allowed. And I've come up with 5 players that would be considered surprise cut candidates. If they're on this show, doesn't mean they're getting cut, but they could be, and it would be a surprise. So we'll get into it as you're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's start at the wide receiver position. And this is one that I think may unfortunately come true, and that hurts my heart because I am a massive fan of Isaiah Hodgins. I remember the day that Hodgins was signed by the New York Giants during the 2022 season, and we did a video on it on a live show. But just with the way that things went last year, where Hodgins saw his overall snaps just go down, I'm just not so sure that he is a part of the Giants' long-term future. He had to sign. The Giants weren't willing to give him a multi-year offer this year, and just it doesn't really seem like it. His catches go from 42 to 21. His yards go from 459 to 230. His yards per game go from 45.9 to 13.5. So that worries me a little bit. I'm just not so sure that he is someone that they are going to be thinking about as long-term plans in the long-term plans for the New York Giants, which is a little bit unfortunate because you talk about the receivers on this team. You know that they're going to keep Darius Slayton. You know that they're going to keep Malik Neighbors. You know they're going to keep Wan'Dale Robinson. You know they're going to keep Jalen Hyatt. That's 4 wide receivers right there that are guaranteed, that are going to be guaranteed to make this roster. They're only going to keep 6. And I think Gunnar Olszewski is going to make it. So it's going to come down to Isaiah Hodgins, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, and Allen Robinson as the player I think that's going to fight for that final wide receiver spot. That final wide receiver spot. Who do you think is going to make it? Who do you think is going to make this team? Is it Hodgins? Is it Bryce Ford-Wheaton? Or is it Allen Robinson? Let me know what you think in the comment section. From receiver to quarterback. And I know this one is going to potentially ruffle some feathers for New York Giants fans, but I do think that Tommy DeVito is a cut candidate for the New York Giants. Are they going to cut him? I'm not so sure. Are they going to keep him? I don't know. Are the Giants keeping 3 QBs on the 53-man roster? They didn't do that in year 1 of GM Joe Schoen. They didn't do that in year 2 of GM Joe Schoen. Are they going to keep 3 quarterbacks? I think Tommy DeVito has earned a roster spot. But it's a numbers game. And you know Jones is going to make this team. You know Drew Lock is going to make this team. Is Tommy DeVito. Are the Giants going to keep 3 quarterbacks? I'm not so sure. I think DeVito played well enough to make this roster. I do. In 9 games played for the New York Giants last year, 6 starts. He had 8 touchdowns, just 3 INTs, completed 64% of his passes, 1,100 plus yards, and he was sacked 37 times. 37 times. So the one thing that I think is in DeVito's favor is that, one, he's already produced at an NFL level, and the Giants know that Daniel Jones has an injury guarantee in his contract. He's had some injury history as well, and maybe they fear that if they cut him, he's not going to come back to the practice squad because he may get a guaranteed roster spot from someone else. You only get 53, though. You only get 53. So if you're going to keep 3 QBs, it means you maybe got to keep 1 less running back, or 1 less offensive lineman, 1 less defensive tackle, or 1 less player somebody else. If I had to bet on what the Giants want for this upcoming season, they want it to be where the Giants cut him on the initial 53-man roster, and then they find a way to bring him back to the practice squad. They find a way to bring him back to the practice squad. I'm just not sure how that's possible. Because if I'm a team out there, I think that Tommy DeVito is better than a couple of backup quarterbacks in this league. I just think Drew Lock is better than him. If I had to guess, I think he makes a 53-man roster, but don't tell me you're shocked when it happens, because I've already told you it might happen a couple of times. On the defensive line, a player that I could see being a cut candidate for the Giants is Jordan Phillips, the interior defensive lineman that comes over from the Buffalo Bills. The Giants signed him, I think it was prior to the NFL draft or right after the NFL draft. He had 15 tackles for 2.5 sacks and 2 tackles for loss last year for Buffalo. He was in and out of the starting lineup for them. But he's someone that, like, if you talk to a Buffalo Bills fan, they'll tell you he was one of the worst players in the NFL last year. And I think that he's got to earn a roster spot throughout preseason as well as the offseason for the New York Giants. I don't think that the Giants are just going to gift wrap a position for him on this 53-man roster. PFF last year was not all too kind to Jordan Phillips. His overall grade, not very good, 35.8. He had a rush defense grade of 30, a tackling grade of 25. The best years of his career are behind him, but the Giants are pretty thin at interior defensive line, so they could keep him. But would I rather have DJ Davidson or Jordan Riley than Phillips? I would. They're younger with more upside. We'll see what the Giants are going to do when they trim down that position group. We got 2 more players to talk about as cut candidates. But first, I got to give you guys the info on a deal we got going on right now. If you go to chatsports.com/neighbors, that's chatsports.com/neighbors, you can get your Malik Neighbors jersey in time for week 1. In time for week 1. Chatsports.com/neighbors, get your Malik Neighbors jersey today. Let's talk about a veteran corner who, for quite some time, I thought was going to get cut from this football team, and that's Darnay Holmes, the veteran slot corner, has only been a Giant throughout his career. He re-signed with the ball club on a 1-year deal this offseason. But I think the Giants want to go with a little bit more of a youth movement at that spot. They have made some decisions in the draft to prioritize the slot corner position. They draft Andrew Phillips in the 3rd round this year out of Kentucky. 2 years ago, they select Cordell Flott in the slot at the NFL draft, as you look at the cornerback depth chart here. And they brought back Nick McLeod as well. So McLeod, Phillips, and Flott are 3 players the Giants are all comfortable with playing in the slot. Maybe Darnay Holmes finds a way to make this team. I don't think Aaron Robinson does. I don't think Thomas Oliver does. Maybe David Long does. But it's going to be a numbers game. And if I had to think of any corner between McLeod, Phillips, Holmes, and Flott that's most likely to be cut, I'm going to have to go with Darnay Holmes. Let's talk about the offensive line. And this one is unfortunate for me. Marcus McKeithen. It's always tough when you select a player on the offensive line and after 2 seasons, you already kind of have the picture of him painted. And I'm not so sure that he's an NFL caliber offensive lineman in this league. So you look at the depth chart here and some offensive linemen that are going to be priority keeps on the backup. Like we know Thomas Illuminor, Schmitz, Runyon, and Neal are going to stay. That's 5. I would say the Giants will keep either 9 or 10 offensive linemen. I lean more towards 9, which means you got 4 coming off the bench. I think Azudu, Stinney, and Schlottman are all locks to make this team. That's 3. Will Josh Miles make the team? Will Nelson? Will Kajust? Will McKeithen? Will they sign somebody else? I'm not so sure, but I do think McKeithen is at the very least on the roster bubble when it comes to making the 53. Who do you think gets cut, though? If you had to make a prediction of any player on the New York Giants, give me a name of a player who you think gets cut. Type their name in the comments and make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. If you're looking for another place to find more Giants content, hit me up over there. Excuse me. What's up, Kelvin? Daniel Jones says John Thotty. I don't know about that. Zach Attack, what's up, man? We got 2 more segments, brother. We got 2 more segments. Michael Cook, what's up, bro? Rosario Guzzo, what's up, brother? I don't think they're cutting Evan Neal. Gavin says he? I don't know who he is. Eric says Gunner is done for? I don't know about that. What's up, Gavin? What's up, dog? The Bronx boy in the building. What's up, Bronx boy? Rob Simpy in the building. What's up, man? Nope says Neil is a future burger flipper. Maybe. Mike G in the building. Grow, press, and bake. I don't know what you're growing and what you're pressing and what you're baking. He says, would you trade a late pick for Caleb Farley? I think that question has to be asked to Shane Bowen. Shane Bowen has been the defensive coordinator for Caleb Farley every year of his career. If Bowen believes in him, sure, I'd trade for him. Mike G, I love him. I tried to tell you guys before the draft. I loved me some Tyrone Tracy. Glad we got him. We're going to get to that mailbag in about 15 minutes or so. We're going to run through Darren Waller replacements. Is there anything the Giants can do to replace Darren Waller for this upcoming year? Zach Attack says Evan Neal would cook in concessions. I see what you did there. Do you see what you did there? He'll cook in the concessions. Get it? Nope, says we got the Darren Waller replacements. Yep, we're going to talk about 2 guys on this roster that can replace him. I've got a player from the UFL. I want to see the Giants sign. 1 trade target, and I think that's it. That's it. So we got a trade target, a free agent target, a UFL target, and 2 internal options. Nope, aren't you a big UFL guy? You should know who I'm about to talk about. All right. Oh, Marsh to Mike G. We'd be looking like Eli Manning and Boss. Boss is my favorite tight end that ever played with Eli Manning. I know Shockey, but whatever. As Vikings Now by Chat Sports says, how scared are you of Sam Darnold? Be honest. If we get a $100 super chat, we're making Patrick Seaman come in here and do a beer boot. If we get a $100 super chat, we're making ex-producer Patrick Seaman come in the studio and do a beer boot. He's been talking so much noise week 1. Did he forget that Daniel Jones set records against his team in the playoffs? Did he forget that? Did he forget? Kid's a little light in the head at times. Oh! We got a 3-point goal. Mike G! Bang! Bang! Everybody give me a Mike G in the chat. Give me some MGs. Give me some MGs in the chat. Oh, CP. Probably didn't think he was doing a boot today. Let's see what he's about to say. He's going to be, dude, I'm filming, man. I'm filming my Vikings Week 1 preview video. He said LMAO. I'm dead. Give me some MGs in the chat. Let's go. Mike G. Seeps. The Vikings are trash. I'm trying to tell him. This guy thinks that Sam Darnold is the answer to his problems. Look, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the answer to our problems, but I know for a fact it ain't Sam Darnold, baby. It ain't Sam Darnold. TK Anderson, great question. Why we are not competing for anything? Why sign an aged player for 1 year? Because the Giants suck. Brian Daboll is fired. And I don't want another head coach. I don't want another head coach after 3 seasons. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are trying to keep their job. Yeah, the Giants are trying to win games. Come on, man. This ain't Madden, where you just lose games on purpose. Mike G carries. Oh! 3-point goal. Rob Simpy. Bang! Bang! Mike G and Rob Simpy going toe-to-toe, holding it down for the real ones. F-Seeps. F-Seeps. Let's go. He says, bang! Tell Seeps to bring his drinking pants in here and let's go. We got 2 more segs. Bronx Boy says you have to race with him now. Bronx Boy, I'm going to sound like such a... I can't drink right now, man. I'm on some pretty strong antibiotics, so... You want to run a boot with Seeps? You want to race? All right. I would love to drink, as you guys know, but unfortunately I'm on some pretty strong antibiotics where the doctor told me it'd be a bad idea if I drank, which I really don't even believe him. But we're going to have producer Reed and ex-producer Seeps. Get one for Reed, too. Yeah, 2 for Reed. No, not for me. I'm sure. I'm sure. We're going to have Seeps and Reed do a race. Seeps and Reed do a race. F Seeps. F the Vikings. How about that? F Minnesota. Has anyone ever gone to Minnesota for a vacation? Who vacations to Minnesota? I went to Mall of America. I went to the Mall of America. Oh my gosh. Oh. Bronx Boy says how much you lose total? Are you talking about my weight? Well, I can't drink because I had a severe tooth infection. And I was supposed to get a root canal, but when I went to see the endodontist, they told me they can't do the root canal. So now I'm getting the tooth pulled. And I'm also getting the wisdom tooth pulled behind it. And that's not for a couple of weeks, but to kill the infection, I've been on some pretty strong antibiotics. And it's been working. As welcome back, Patrick Seatman, onto the show, man. What do you got to say to all your longtime friends, man?
I just wanted to get a question in the mailbag. I did not know this would be the result.
My favorite part is Rob Simpy asked a question earlier. I don't think it was a mailbag, but he did a hashtag Giants. My same question to you is, what's the bet for week 1? Do we have a bet for week 1?
We got to sit on it.
Maybe you guys come up with some ideas for week 1. Maybe you guys have some ideas for week 1. Shout out to producer Reed. Reed's been working here for about a month and a half at this point. One of the new producers here. Show Reed some love. He's going to be helping out on Giants, as Patrick Seatman told the bosses he didn't want to help anymore. So he's going to go back to covering the shitting Vikings and Sam Darnold. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun this year. Sammy Dimes. Well, it can. I'll tell you this much: if you have a nickname with the name Dimes in it, that's bad luck. Because we did that with Daniel Jones, and it didn't look good. But we got a race. I feel like kind of a pussy because I can't join it. But we'll let them rock out. We'll let them on the count of on go, boys, on go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Reed coming from Florida, ready to drink. Patrick Seatman hailing from Chicago. As Reed's already got a quick turn on the bubble. He's got some juice falling, but he's at a good pace here. They actually kind of look pretty similar if you ask me. They also look much taller than me because I'm standing back. I'm almost as tall as them. But who's going to finish? As Reed finishes over Patrick Seatman, just like the Vikings will lose to the New York Giants in week 1. Can I get a go, Big Blue?
Go, baby.
Let's go. Let's go. Give me some F-Seeps in the chat. Give me some F-Seeps in the chat. Shout out to them. Yeah. Yeah. That was exhilarating. That was exhilarating. I missed a boot race. I forgot how crazy we get on Giants Live.
Show out for the Giants Nation.
Reed, first show. You're coming up with a dub on the boot race. That's major. That's major. That's major. Bronx Boy, I was 255, now I'm about 210. So I'm down about 45 pounds. Down about 40. Gilly, I thought there was an extra P in that word pie, and I would have said that is not okay. But maybe we do a pie to the face. Maybe we do a pie to the face. But yeah, Bronx Boy, I was 255, now I'm 210, man. 210, maybe even a little bit lower than that. I haven't weighed myself in about a week and a half. Shout out to Brian Brown coming in with a $2 super chat. What's up, man? Says, Marsh, who's your dark horse? Mine is Belton. I'm really starting to fall in love with Tyler Nubin, man. I am. I've gone back and I've watched his college tape a lot. Tyler Nubin's a stud. He is. I think he's gonna show up and show out. Rob Jigga, what's up, man? Hey, Marsh. The new Vikings Winter Warrior jerseys are hot. They still going to lose, though. Winter Warriors jerseys are Red Century jerseys. I'm glad the Giants are wearing those week 1. I know a lot of people hated on those, but I actually liked them. Obviously, I don't love the khaki pants, But I love the helmet and I love the jersey. I love the helmet and I love the jersey. Shout out to everybody showing love. Yeah, man, I had to get right. There was too many people, too many fat jokes in the comments. I had to lose a couple LBs. Huh? No, we did Waller. Yeah. We had to do a boot race. My bad. Seal Pasito with a $10 super chat. What's up? Shout out to Seal Pasito. That's my guy right there. A1 since day one. Seal Pasito. I miss the Knicks, man. I miss the Knicks, Seal Pasito. I'll tell you this much. The finals have sucked. The conference finals have sucked. The best series in the playoffs was Knicks Sixers. Not really. They weren't entertaining for the average fan. Who do y'all want to win the finals? Celtics or Mavs? Who do y'all want to win the finals?
Let's note, there is a correct answer here.
I didn't think the Western Conference Finals was good. It went 7, but it didn't even go 7. It went 5. Yeah. True. Agreed, Gilly. We lost to injuries. I've been rooting for the Mavs, but I think the Celtics win in 6. I've been rooting for the Mavs, but I think Celtics in 6. All righty, let's do it. Darren Waller replacements, and then a mailbag to close today's show. I don't know, but DBM says I have a sports Woody for Pat Peterson as a savvy vet. That was crazy. Oh, you guys crack me up. Funny. All righty, let's do some Darren Waller replacements. I see my guy Nick's Galaxy was in here. That's my brother. Shout out to my brother, though. Let's do it. Rob Simpy, Mike G, you guys are legends. I love y'all. Thank you. You don't ever have to do that, and in fact, you all always show up, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let's get into it. Darren Waller replacements. It is official. Darren Waller has retired from the National Football League, which means the Giants have a hole to fill at the tight end position, but they also have added $11.6 million in cap space, which means if they want to go out and sign a tight end, they can do that. But in today's video, we're going to look at some internal options that need to step up to replace Darren Waller, but we're also going to take a look at some external options, a free agent target, a trade target, and a UFL player I would love for the New York Giants to sign. But first, I want to get the comment section rocking and rolling. What is your one-word reaction to Darren Waller's retirement? Be nice, but be colorful like you always are. Give me your one-word reaction to Darren Waller's retirement. I want to hear from all of you in the comment section. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for clicking on today's video as we break down some Darren Waller replacements. And the New York Giants, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, they have been operating as if Darren Waller was going to retire. They have been prepping for life without Waller really since free agency when they went out and they signed Chris Manhertz and they went out and they signed Jack Stoll. So they've already made moves as well as drafting Theo Johnson in the NFL draft. So they have been knowing this is going to happen, and they've been putting the bricks down brick by brick to try to build a foundation as Darren Waller is no longer a part of the fold. Let's start with two players that are already on this roster, and let's start with Daniel Bellinger, the third-year player. It's time. It's time for It's time for Daniel Bellinger to show that he could be a tight end one in this league. I'm not so sure that he can be. I want to be proven wrong. I want Daniel Bellinger to be that guy. Fast way for the Giants to get better is for them to have the good players already on this team. I see Bellinger more as a tight end too, though, in the NFL, and that's a compliment because he does a little bit of both. He can dip his foot into both pools. He can block, and he can also go out and be a receiving threat. He's got prototypical size, 6'5", 253 pounds, and he's produced already in his career. You look at both years side by side. Let's start with his rookie year, where he played just 12 games. He had that nasty face injury that caused him to miss time. He had 30 catches for 268 yards, just 8.9 yards per catch, so he wasn't really much of a downfield threat. We saw a lot of those naked boot actions with him kind of just shooting out into the flat on the backside of a play. He had 2 touchdowns and he had a PFF blocking grade of 61.5. Second season with Waller in the fold, the numbers, they dipped down a little bit. 25 catches. Yards, an average, hovered around the same. The average went up. Tight end touchdowns did not have one this year. And his blocking went down a little bit. Overall, if the Giants don't want to miss a beat when it comes to Darren Waller, they're going to need Daniel Bellinger to step up. They just are. I want him to be a legit tight end. I want him to be a down in, down out threat at that position. I'm just not so sure that he can be. He has to prove it to me. I see him as a great tight end too. Not so sure if he's a starting down in, down out player. Another internal option for the Giants is the mid-round pick Theo Johnson out of Penn State. I am all in on Theo Johnson. I've drinking my cup of Kool-Aid. I have refilled my cup of Kool-Aid, and I drank that cup of Kool-Aid when it came to Theo Johnson. I am excited, and I am really, really expecting him to be an immediate difference maker for the New York Giants. He was really good in college, and he's got prototypical size. And prototypical athlete, not prototypical, elite, off the charts testing numbers. 6'6" and 1/8 inch, 259 pounds. And he was graded out in the 99th percentile of all tight ends when it comes to scouting combine drills. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is that his production doesn't necessarily match up with the athletic ability that you see. 34 catches, just 341 yards. Did have 7 touchdowns last year. But with a guy that runs the 40 with the way that he does, the explosiveness that he has, 10 yards per catch is simply just not okay. He needs to be used more as a downfield threat. I want to see him running the seam for the New York Giants. And I'm going to put more of the blame on Penn State than Theo Johnson on the lack of his success. I always feel like players out of Penn State get underutilized, and I don't think that he was put in a position to reach the maximum ability that he has. I mean, when you look at the things that he did at the Combine and his pro day, and you compare it to other players, 99th percentile of all athletic testing in the history of the NFL Scouting Combine. 6'6", 259, threw up 225 pounds 19 times. He has a vertical jump of almost 40, 98th percentile. His broad jump, 96th percentile. His 40-yard dash, 95th percentile. His short shuttle, 92nd percentile. This guy is a walking freak when it comes to athleticism. I'm all in. I'm all in. I could not be more all in than I already am all in on Theo Johnson. I'm also expecting for Brian Dable and Mike Kafka to put him in a spot where he could be successful. That is something that I think that goes under the rug with coaching is, are you able to put your players in spots where they can be successful? I don't think they did that at Penn State with Johnson. I'm hoping that the Giants do that this year with him. Who do you think has more catches, though, of the top 2 tight ends on this roster? Will Theo Johnson have more catches, or will Daniel Bellinger have more catches this year? Type TJ for Theo Johnson, type DB for Daniel Bellinger. So you look at the tight end room now with Darren Waller officially out. I believe that Daniel Bellinger will be your starting tight end, at least for week 1. Maybe it flips as the season goes on with Theo Johnson at tight end 2. Then you're looking at Jack Stoll and Chris Manhertz as your blocking tight ends. You also have Tyree Jackson, former quarterback, who has switched to tight end, and you still have Lawrence Cager. So maybe Cager and Jackson could be guys that help you kind of cushion the loss of the blow for Darren Waller, but I'm not really expecting that. I'm expecting Bellinger and Theo Johnson to do that. Coming up next, I've got a trade target, I've got a free agency target, and I've got a UFL standout star player that I think the Giants should at least pick up the phone and call and see if he wants to come play for this organization. But first, go to chatsports.com/neighbors. That's chatsports.com/neighbors and get your Malik Neighbors Giants jersey today. Go to chatsports.com/neighbors and use that promo code, or no promo code, excuse me. It's just chatsports.com/neighbors. That link will be clickable in the comments and description of today's show. Let's start with the UFL target. and former XFL standout player, former 4th-round pick of the 2019 NFL Draft. And that is Hakeem Butler. Shout out to Hakeem Butler. He actually went to my high school, so I do know him. And the growth I have seen from him as an athlete has been incredible. This was a guy that couldn't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time his freshman year in high school. And now he is showing that he is one of the most talented players in the UFL, and he's trying to make the NFL. He's 6'5", almost 6'6", 227 pounds. He's got an athletic background. He is a family member of the Harrison twins, if you know who they are. They went to they were Kentucky Wildcats. And this is a guy that's kind of bounced all over. He was a 2019 4th-round pick out of Arizona, then spent time with the Carolina Panthers in 2020, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he played for the BC Lions in 2022, then the Edmonton Elks. And the last 2 years, he spent time with the St. Louis Battlehawks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the St. Louis Battlehawks in the UFL. He was the UFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2024. He was an all-UFL team member in 2024, an all-XFL team member in 2023, and he led the UFL in receiving yards in 2024. And he's already starting his workouts with NFL teams. Ian Rappaport said this about Butler: the Panthers are expected to work out UFL Offensive Player of the Year Hakeem Butler before summer break, sources say. The all-XFL pick had 45 catches for a league-best 652 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns for the St. Louis Battlehawks this season, a potential intriguing signing. He is more of a receiver, but at 6'6", 230, he could do very similar things when it comes to X's and O's as Darren Waller. You look at the last 2 years in the XFL and the UFL. In 20 games played, he had 96 catches for north of 1,250 yards, 13 touchdowns, 13 yards per catch. The guy has produced. He at least deserves a call. I'd work him out immediately after the Carolina Panthers work him out. Will the Giants do it? I don't know. I think it'd be a good idea, and I think it could be worthwhile. A trade target for the New York Giants to potentially replace Darren Waller would be Greg Dulcich, the tight end out of UCLA that is entering his 3rd season in the National Football League. Dulcich was a mid-round pick by the Denver Broncos, and he is someone that has just not really been able to find his footing in the NFL. He's had some injury issues pop up throughout his career, and that's really why he hasn't been able to find his way. And it's upsetting because coming out of UCLA, where he put up some monster stats for the Bruins, there was a lot of hype for the Denver Broncos that he could be that guy. Just injuries have somewhat derailed his career. He's recovering from foot and hamstring injuries right now. He's missed 25 games through 2 seasons, which is a big red flag for me. But he's got talent. And there was a reason that he was a 3rd-round pick in 2022. He's a big play threat. 17.6 yards per catch throughout his college career. The Giants could use another big play receiving threat at that tight end position. And I don't think it would cost much to trade for him. I think you could trade a 6th-round pick for Dulcich and a 7th-round pick. Maybe you just swap a 7th-round pick for Dulcich. But if the Giants want to take a flyer and maybe buy a lottery ticket on a high upside, talent-filled tight end, I think Greg Dulcich can be that guy. But the injuries are a red flag for me. This last guy. About Julio Jones. What about Julio Jones? Is Julio Jones still that guy? No. Is he the player that I remember from the Falcons? No. Is he the guy I remember for the Bucks? No. But I do think there's some juice still left in those legs of Julio Jones. And I can already see it in the comments now. But Marshall, Julio Jones is not a tight end. I know. Duh, he is a receiver. But, he pretty much played tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles last year. 53.1% of his snaps came in the slot. And that's where Darren Waller operated for the Giants. Darren Waller didn't have his hand in the dirt playing tight end in line next to the right tackle or the left tackle. This is the last option, last resort. Probably doesn't happen, probably doesn't need to happen, but I don't think it hurts to call up Julio Jones, go through a workout, see if he could be a big slot tight end for you on passing downs. I don't think that that's a bad idea at all. I don't think it'd be expensive. I think getting for the veteran minimum, but most likely isn't going to work. But what I hope you've learned from this video is the external options aren't all that great. There's not any good tight ends left in free agency. We're talking about signing Akeem Butler from the UFL, which I would like. There's not really great options out there, which means Daniel Bellinger and Theo Johnson have to get it done. They do. And I'm looking at Theo Johnson. This time next year, I want to be singing the praises of Johnson and going back and saying, maybe he's the guy that slipped through the cracks in the NFL draft. And he's the guy that we look back and say, one of the best picks in this draft. That would be best case scenario. I want to ask this question again. Who do you think has more catches this year? When the season ends, who do you think has more catches? Is it Theo Johnson? Is it Daniel Bellinger? Type the initials of the tight end that you think is going to have more catches for Big Blue this season. No, just looking some stuff up. All right, we got a mailbag to get into. All right, we're going to get into this mailbag right now. Last chance to get your questions in. Hashtag Giants or Super Chat. On the bar. All right. DB this year and TJ next year. Yeah, that's probably right. But I'd like to see Theo Johnson be used as a receiver more. I think he just gives you more upside, and it's more of a dynamic player. My man Jamie Anderson. What's going on, Jamie? Always good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the kind words, and I hope you and your family are doing all right, man. One of the first people to ever support this channel, Jamie. We appreciate you. All righty, let's get into this mailbag. What's going on, everybody? It's mailbag time here on Giants Now. I am your host, Marshall Green. We're going to get to questions from subscribers on today's show. This video was recorded during our live show. That's going to go down every single Monday throughout the offseason. So if you want to be featured on our next mailbag, it's an easy two-step process. 1, subscribe to the channel, and 2, turn your notifications on. That way that you can join us next Monday for our live show. All right, first question coming in from Luke Papa. What's up, Luke? How many yards for Devin Singletary this season? So you look at what Devin Singletary has done throughout his career. Last year in 17 games played, he had 898 yards, where he averaged 4.2 yards per carry. The year before that, in 16 games played and 177 carries, he had 819 yards, 4.6 yards per carry. And then in 2021, his last year in Buffalo, we had 188 carries. He had 870 yards, and he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. So at minimum, I'm expecting 820 yards for Devin Singletary. That's the lowest number he has produced in the last 3 years. I'm hoping for close to 1,000 yards for Singletary. I expect him to be healthy. He's been healthy throughout his career, 17 games, 16 games, 17 games, 16 games. I think the only reason he didn't play in 2022, 17 games, is because he was on that Buffalo Bills team that had the game canceled against, was it Cincinnati Bengals? Cincinnati Bengals. So he's played in every game the last 3 years. Give me 900 and 1,000 yards for Singletary. I think he's going to have a solid year for the Giants. Rosario Guzzo, what's up, man? Do you think the Giants D can get 50-plus sacks? Let me look something up real quick. 50 is a lot. 50 is a lot. That would make the Giants. So I'm looking at last year's stats. Right? There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that have more than 50 sacks. Colts, Bills, Dolphins, Chiefs, and Ravens. Do you think they can? Yeah, I think they can. Will they? I think it'd be right about that number. I think anywhere from 45 to 52 is probably in the wheelhouse for the Giants. You got to have Burns and Thibodeau and Lawrence combined for close to 30. Ojulari gives you another 5, 6, 7. You're going to be right there. You're going to be right there. I'd err closer to 45, though. Zach Ortiz. Start Belton or Newbin? Week 1, I'm going to start Dane Belton. By the end of the season, I want Tyler Newbin to be the starting safety. By the end of the season, I want Tyler Newbin to be the starting safety. You draft a guy in the second round at the spot that they did. You need that guy to be producing for you in year 1. In year 2, you need him to be one of the better players on this football team. I'm going to go with Belton to start the season, but I'm hoping that by the end of the year, Tyler Newbin has showed that he could be a top safety for this team. Steven Belinas, what's up, homie? Why don't we sign Patrick Peterson and Dalton Reisner? Well, Dalton Reisner is on the Minnesota Vikings, so that's not going to happen. If we can't afford them both, then just sign Reisner. Well, Reisner is on the Vikings. When it comes to Patrick Peterson, I don't know. Maybe the Giants think he's cooked. There was reports that came out that the Giants were interested in signing Steven Nelson before he retired, so maybe they poke around other veteran corner options at this point. I would bring in Patrick Peterson for a cheap 1-year veteran minimum deal, but I'm not the GM. I think it would be a great idea. Whether it's Peterson, whether it's Gilmore, I think Giants need another veteran corner. Justin, what's up, man? What's up, Marshall? What is your confidence level in Daniel Jones this year, and what do you see the Giants doing with quarterback position after this season? Confidence level in Daniel Jones is honestly not that high. I just don't really think he's that good of a quarterback. I don't. And I don't think the Giants are a position where he's surrounded with a lot of talent and a great offensive line. So he's fighting an uphill battle. I think he lacks top-end talent, and I don't think he's got a great O-line, and I don't think he's got the best supporting cast. So if I had to say 1 to 10, my confidence level in DJ, 1 being not confident, 10 being extremely, I'd put it at about a 5. What do I think the Giants are going to do next year at quarterback? They're going to have somebody else. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be on the roster next year, which means that they will be looking to the draft, free agency, or a trade. That's what I think happens at QB. Brian Brown, what's up, man? Marsh, you're the head coach this season. I wish. What position group are you looking forward to seeing in the preseason, or are you playing DJ? Yes, I am playing Daniel Jones in the preseason. He is not good enough to just walk into week 1 with no snaps under his belt. I'd play him in the preseason. What position group are you looking forward to? There's 2. Defensive line, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari. Those 4 right there, they got a feast. But I'm also looking forward to the wide receiver position. I think that this is a receiver group that I haven't been this excited about in quite some time. I'm really excited for Neighbors. I'm really excited for year 2 Hyatt. I'm really excited for year 3 Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton as a pro's pro. So the wide receiver position is one that I'm looking forward to, as well as the defensive line. Those are 2 position groups that I think the New York Giants are strong at and ones that I'm looking forward to this year. My question to you is 6.5 wins for the Giants this season. This is the line in Las Vegas. 6.5 wins for the Giants this year. Type O for over, type U for under. I want to hear from all the real ones in the comment section. Slim Cash, what's up, man? With the new kickoff rule, special teams are going to be more serious, possibly a run back in each game. What do you think? I don't think there will be a kick return for a touchdown each game, but there's definitely going to be way more kickoff returns. When the was the Eagles that signed Tariq Cohen? Or the Jets signed Tariq Cohen? I knew it was a team in green. The Jets signed Tariq Cohen, and their head coach, Robert Saleh, says he's expecting there to be 100 kick returns this year. So there's going to be a role out there for somebody to touch the ball 100 times this year and make a play. We've already seen Wan'Dale Robinson start to return kicks at practice somewhat this year, and I wouldn't mind him doing that. but I also don't want to see a player that plays a priority position to get hurt. So it's a double-edged sword this year. But yeah, I expect the Giants to use someone that maybe we're not talking about there. Maybe it's Robinson. Maybe it's Eric Gray. Maybe it's Isaiah McKenzie. Maybe it's Gunnar Olszewski. There's going to be someone back there returning kicks that should be able to do some damage with the ball in their hands. Dale Roche, trade for a star off the table completely. At this point, I think so. I think at this point in the offseason, Dale, a trade for a star is off the table. Stars that are available. T. Higgins. Don't see the Giants trading for him. Brandon Ayuk. I don't see the Giants trading for him. That's really about it. That's really about the only ones we're hearing about trade talks right now. So I don't think that a trade's going to happen for a star right now. I do not. Make sure you are ready for week 1 and have your Malik Neighbors jersey on the way. Go to chatsports.com/neighbors. That is chatsports.com/neighbors. And get your Giants Malik Neighbors jersey today. Has not chosen his number yet. Once he does, he will. They will put his jersey on that number on that jersey, and they'll send it to you. That link will be in the comments and description. Rob Sippy says, Marsh, as always, welcome back. Hey, good to see you, Rob. Thanks for always showing love to us. So now I'll ask you the same question I asked Seatman. What's the bet for week 1, and how are you going to feel when the Giants beat the Vikings week 1? I'm going to feel great, and I'm going to be talking a lot of shit. I actually live with Patrick Seaman, and I will be letting him know every day that the Giants beat them again like they did in the playoffs 2 years ago. I'm not sure what the bet is. I'll leave that up for you guys in the comments section. Let me know. What do you think the bet should be for week 1? Giants, Vikings. What should be the gentleman bet for the New York Giants? Or for me and Seeps with the Giants, Vikings. Giants prods, what's up, man? What is our primary need? CB2. CB2 is what I think the Giants need the most. I don't really have the most confidence in Cordell Flott being a boundary corner every single game. I'm not ready for Trey Hawkins to be that guy. I don't think he's ready for that. I'm going to get Stephon Gilmore. I'm going to continue to say Stephon Gilmore should be a Giant until he signs with somebody else. He's the best corner available. It's the biggest Giants need. Makes a lot of sense in the world. John Toddy, what's up, bro? How does this offense compare to the 2022 Giants? Hopefully it can't get worse than last year when we had his glorified Jersey Shore bartender as our biscuit. Oh, John Toddy, you cracked me up. How does this offense compare? Well, hopefully the offensive line is better, right? More experienced Andrew Thomas. Jermaine Illuminor at left guard. Year 2, John Michael Schmitz. Better John Runyon than Ben Bredesen at right guard. And Evan Neal entering year 3 compared to year 1. At receiver, you're better because you brought back Darius Slayton, who was the best receiver that year. You added Malik Neighbors. You added Jalen Hyatt. And Wan'Dale Robinson is entering year 3 instead of year 1. But obviously you do not have number 26 anymore. You have a new 26. And Saquon Barkley was a top 3 running back in the NFL in 2022. I don't think it's fair to say that Singletary will be that guy. So, running back worse, receivers better, offensive line should be better. Will the quarterback be better? That's the one we're all waiting for. Jay Sports Card. If Jayshon Corbin breaks out, could he be a goal line back? I don't necessarily think Corbin is that type of runner. He's got a little bit more pop. I'd say he's more of your elusive runner that can run through arm tackles. I think if you had a goal line back this year, it's probably going to be Eric Gray. Devin Singletary or Eric Gray. Singletary is your goal line back. Corbin is more of get out and run, speed, elusiveness, than just pile over the goal line. So, yeah, I would say probably not goal line back, but he could fight his way onto this roster. Because after Gray and after Tracy and after Singletary, there's one job open. Will that be Corbin? Will that be Dante Miller? We're going to find out in about 2 months from now. Who's your breakout player for this season? Who is your breakout player for this season? I got a couple. I want to hear from you, though. Give me your breakout player for this upcoming season. And if you haven't yet, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We put out free, informative, entertaining updates every day on the New York Giants. So subscribe and turn your notifications on for more Giants content. Ooh, John Thotty, that's a good one. That's a good one, John Thotty. I don't know if I could wear that, though. Giants freaking better win. Giants better win. Giants better win. DBM says, what's in the cup? You never ask a grown man what's in his cup, dog. Just know I got that juice. No, it's water. This is water. It's water. I wish it was lick. I wish. Drink in my cup. Zach Attack knows ball. Zach Attack, you know ball, brother. I knew we always got along for a reason. We got B. Scott in the chat. Is that Brett Scott? I don't know. He just type in Wandale. Brett Scott doesn't know nothing about Wandale Robinson. He will once he tears up the Cowboys this week or this year. Future says this Kate team time to ball out. That D-line might win us the Super Bowl alone. I'll say it once. I'll say it twice. I'll say it 1,000 times. If the Giants want to be competitors this year, it's going to be because of the defensive line, and it's going to be because they're a top defense in this league. The success of this team will be carried by Lawrence, Thibodeau, and Burns. Dexter Lawrence, Thibodeau, and Burns. Those three have to carry you this year. Brian Brown says, what's more important to you this year, wins or performance? Growth. How do the rookies look? How do people improve? Like, we need people to grow. We need people to get better. Does Evan Neal grow? Does Brian Dable become a better head coach? Growth. That's where I'm at on that. Just growth and development and getting better. As we got a 3-point goal. Lord, Buddy Bear. Bang! Lord Buddy Bear. My man. Good to see you, brother. I miss our Knicks watch parties and having you in there, man. I'll tell you, watching the Celtics and the shit sucks. They're so boring. Like, if the NBA didn't have the Knicks, it would be the worst playoffs of all time. It really, really would. Lord Buddy Bear, $50 super chat. Everybody give me some LBBs in the chat. That's a goat. That is a Chat Sports goat right there. Chat Sports. Channel wide. But Marshall, I wish Drew Lock was still on the Broncos. That Raider D never looked so good. Prayers for DJ's health. I missed the Knicks games. Can't wait till next season. Oh, and F Tom Fumble Brady. It's always F Eli Manning's son. Always F Eli Manning's son. Not once, but twice, Lord Buddy Bear. Not once, but twice. LBB, love you, brother. Thank you for always showing love to me, man. Seriously, thank you. Chris Blades says, Marshy. Sorry I'm late to the party. Hey, never late, right on time. Should we sign Gilmore? Yes. And have a boss defense and dominate, or should we tank and grab a QB? You don't tank in the NFL. Especially a coach that's on the hot seat and a GM that's trying to keep his job. They're not tanking. Yeah. Look, if you sign Stephon Gilmore, I think you're one of the better defensive teams in the NFL. Like, I truly believe that. Bobby Okereke is a top linebacker. Brian Burns, top edge rusher. Dexter Lawrence, top D tackle. Kayvon Thibodeau, up-and-coming edge rusher. Deonte Banks had a really good rookie year as a corner. Jason Pinnock's good. Dane Belton's good. Tyler Nubin's good. Like, this should be a good defense. They should absolutely sign Stephon Gilmore, Blades. Absolutely. I am. All righty, we're going to sign off on today's show. We've been live for an hour and 41 minutes. Major shout out to everybody that tuned in. We still got over 200 people watching, over 2,200 people tuned in. Did I say Bobby? I thought I said Bobby Okereke. If I didn't, that's what I meant. I know we didn't go live the last 2 Mondays, and I apologize for that. But you guys showed up and you showed out today. Major love as always. We'll be back live next Monday, and we're going to have videos out for the remainder of the week. Probably multiple videos every week. We're getting locked and loaded for the season. It's right around the corner. I think I saw 90 days until week 1. We're JPP days away, not fingers, away from week 1. Until then, love you guys. Let's go Big Blue.